It's all right.
Conferences.
It's okay.
Haven't even started yet.
Okay.
Take your time. Yeah, you haven't missed the
No.
pledge. That's
No.
what we're gonna do right now.
Brad, is it on?
Can I have roll call, please?
Cletus? Brack?
Present.
Landers? Cost?
Here.
Schrader?
Here.
Espinoza?
Here.
Williams?
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a motion to approve of the regular meeting agenda?
Second. Espinoza?
Yes.
Schrader? Yes. Williams?
Yes.
Cost?
Yes.
Landers? Brack?
Yes. Are there any visitors for public comment? All right, if not, we'll go ahead and move, if I can get a motion to approve the consent agenda. 5.1, disposition of minutes for September 2024. 5.2, payment of bills. 5.3, district treasurer's report. 5.4, the in-person activity fund report, cafeteria report, and 5.5, the personnel report.
I so move to a consent agenda.
Okay,
Cost?
Yes.
Landers?
Yes.
Brack?
yes.
Schrader?
Yes.
Espinoza?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
All right, informational items. 6.1, Brad, did we have any FOIA requests?
No, ma'am.
Okay. 6.2, the administrator reports, superintendent, and followed by Mrs. Kelly.
Yeah, just wanted to take a minute and follow up on something I sent out in one of the reports. Something that we haven't really had a major focus on since COVID is student attendance. And kind of the hope is that once things kind of settled back into normal, that we would start to see our attendance numbers start to resemble pre-COVID numbers, and we really haven't. And so we're going to really start spending a lot of time as an administrative team trying to look at ways to get kids here because our chronic absentee rates have doubled and they're really not coming back down. It's really a statewide phenomena. Really, when you look at it, we're kind of at the state average, but it's still way too much. When kids aren't here, then they miss all of that. And as it will happen, a lot of times the kids that are really missing are the kids that really need it. And so we're going to be spending a lot of time on that, and you'll probably see a couple of initiatives come out in the next few months on that.
So Brad, do we have you mentioned about the students that aren't here that need it. Are a lot of them ones that we would possibly be recommending for maybe IEPs or additional services, but because of the chronic, we're not able to?
That does happen a little, but it's more that students that are in tier 2 or tier 3 interventions, or students that do have an IEP, when those students miss, it's even more detrimental. And so we want to do everything we can to get them here.
Any other questions? All right, Mrs. Cutler?
Hi. So I'm going to talk to you tonight a little bit about our new reading series. This is something we started last year. I had a district committee. We had a grade level rep from every grade, and we met and we looked at samples. Tyler Pierce led us through this, and we looked at samples, looking for something different than what we had. And we ended up going with Amplify CKLA Reading Series. And I'm just going to kind of give you an overview about it today, and how it's going. We did end up feeling like the more we got into it, it was towards later in the spring, and we're like, ooh, are we really ready to roll with this? Like, are we going to be prepared? Are we going to have time for training to start in August? K2 was ready to go because we really didn't feel like what we had was meeting the needs of our kids, and we were supplementing so much with other things. So we said we were willing to dive right in. I'm going to speak to you today about how things are going at K1, a little bit about 2, but Elissa could talk to you more about the details of their things. 3, the plan is for 3 through 5 then to roll it out next year. They're going to use this year to continue looking at it. They're looking at setting up some time for them to plan and get professional development so they're ready to go in August as well. So it's kind of a slow rollout. CKLA stands for Common Knowledge Language Arts. We call it Amplify, we call it CKLA. They're kind of interchangeable, same thing. We do have a Spanish component, and that is called Amplify Caminos. And so we have that at kindergarten and 1st grade and 2nd grade. They're getting, all of their materials are in Spanish. A lot of the knowledge piece of it mirrors exactly what it is in English, but the skills part of it, because of the Spanish language and how it's taught, it is different. So our bilingual teachers are kind of on their own little island a little bit in planning and problem solving, but they're working together between the grade levels and figuring things out. We like CKLA because it is based on the science of reading, which I'm going to talk to you a little bit about too. What we loved about this series too is it's very basic. Like the pages are black and white. It's very plain. It's not all the fluff, and sometimes our kids get lost in all the fluff and the color, and like we think it looks nice, but it's really distracting for a lot of those kids. So it was very basic. And we also like that it's really slowing things down. We feel like we're backing up the bus, especially in kindergarten and 1st grade. I feel like the pressure that we've had on the kids, not we as a district, but our curriculum and the standards, it expects them to do a lot, like right away when we start school. And this kind of slows it down to start, so it's been a nice slow roll. So science of reading, what is it? This is something that we had some staff members at Blackstone and Lincoln that really dove into this a couple years ago, wanting to understand more about the science of reading and why it was so successful in districts that were using it. Tyler did schedule a training for us, and we had that in the Northbrook gym. I think it was 2 years ago, 2 years ago in the spring, and it was great. We got a lot of good information from it. A lot of us went, oh, us old people said, we used to teach this way, and it worked. So it's kind of going full circle. So what the science of reading is, it's a collection of scientifically based research over time, how children best learn to read. There's so much decoding in the science of reading. It's an approach to teaching, and it's based on those 5 things there: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Those are they call them the big 5, and so those are the things that we're focusing on. When you talk about science of reading, it's a buzzword, okay? So when we were looking at all these samples, companies are going, oh yeah, it's based on the science of reading. Well, show us how, show us where, because they just wanted you to buy it. You can't just buy a science of reading curriculum. It's a theory, it's a method. It's not a specific program, it's not an intervention, you can't pay for it, it's just your approach and how you teach. It's not phonics based, and that's what we've had in the past. So that's what it is not. There are 2 strands in CKLA reading, and one is called skills and the other is called knowledge. And the skills part are those foundational skills, the things that we need to teach kids how to read, how to decode, how their letter names, their letter sounds, learning their words, how they blend and read CVCs and all those tricky words. They call them tricky words, not sight words anymore. They're called tricky words. You might have heard those with your kids. That's been an adjustment for us as well. There's also the knowledge strand, and that is really centered around informational text. So there's a lot of read-alouds that are taking place, and the focus here is building background and building vocabulary. They're so big into building background and vocabulary because if we can get our kids to understand that stuff, it really has a direct impact on reading comprehension. So 2 different parts. What does that look like on a daily basis? A lot of time. So our instructional schedules changed quite a bit. We did not change our master schedule a whole lot going into it because we weren't sure how it would impact it. You're expected to have 120 minutes of CKLA instruction per day, according to CKLA. 60 minutes of that is skills and 60 minutes of that is knowledge. That's a lot of time. We're breaking it up. We might have some classes have skills in the morning, knowledge in the afternoon. Some do skills in the morning, take a break, they go do the knowledge part. And so we're trying to work with schedules. We've tried Blackstone and Lincoln, K1, 2, we both have win time as well built into our schedule. That intervention piece of what I need is what WIN stands for. So we're trying to figure out how we can bring some of those skills into win time and not have to have skills time, knowledge time, win time. That's just kind of a lot. So we're making adjustments as we go this year and taking notes for next year's change. Boost is the online component that goes with CKLA. Kids love it. It's like games, but they're learning. They're working on the skills that they're being taught. They recommend 30 to 45 minutes per week, 10 to 15 minutes per session. So we are in our win time at Blackstone and K1. They rotate around during their win time to different centers and stations, and we're pulling Boost in 3 times a week. The kindergartners are getting on, logging in, and getting going. But what is great about it is if you're below level, the activities that it gives you will give you below level activities. If you're above level, it'll boost you up. It's called Boost because it wants to boost your scores. There's a lot of research to show if you do use this 30 to 45 minutes a week that your scores will improve. So we just kind of started getting into Boost, and kindergarten, first grade started pretty early on. But they weren't ready to log in yet and handle their Chromebooks, but they're doing great now. We started in time, so they're doing well. This is the skills portion for kindergarten. So what we started with, my biggest challenge has been telling teachers, slow down. Last year at this time, we were already learning letters and writing words. Right now, we are following it. We've been very adamant with administration and the reading committee that this year we're going to implement with fidelity. We're going to implement it like they say, and we're going to follow along, and we're not going to try to pull in all these other things unless we really think that we need them. This was tough in kindergarten because Unit 1 and Unit 2 was all about pre-writing lines. So they're talking about writing strokes. So they've learned how to make diagonal lines, horizontal lines, vertical lines, squigglies, hooks, circles. But all of that goes into how they're going to end up writing and forming letters. But it's been a lot of time practicing those pre-writing lines. Unit 2 is in the grip and the lines, working on your pencil grip and getting into lines. But then you see Unit 3, 4, and 5 is when you hit sounds. And previously, I'm going to go way back to Storytown, then we had Wonders. We always taught a letter and a sound a week, and we started right away. So if you notice, there's not even letter names in there. We don't start teaching letter names in kindergarten until Unit 6. Some nervous teachers thinking that's not going to be okay, but
How many weeks are each unit?
what's that?
How many weeks are each unit?
They are anywhere from 12 to 15 days.
Okay.
It kind of varies on the unit.
Okay.
Like 1 and 2 weren't as long as what the others
So
will
that's
be.
why the teachers are nervous.
They are. They're like, it's October and we don't have a lot of data yet, other than how they can write lines and things like that. And they're also tired of me saying trust the process because we belong to so many like Facebook groups and we've been on different blogs and things, and everybody that's implemented this, they said in the first year, just trust it. You'll see the benefits. Just do what they say and trust it. So I keep saying trust the process, and they're like, oh, trust the process. We'll figure it out.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
So you might even touch on this in a minute, but so if kindergarten is doing this year, and then first grade is implementing this new curriculum as well, but they did it different last year, is there like any?
At our grade level, there's a little bit that we're seeing, but we had in first grade, there was quite a bit of time for a review, so we kind of front loaded what we knew they didn't get and got some of that stuff in there.
Gotcha.
So right now, we're not seeing a big
Okay.
discrepancy. I do think it will be nice, like for second going into third,
Yeah,
that they'll have that experience going into
for
third.
them start.
I feel like fifth grade is going to probably be one of our biggest struggles, cause those kids haven't had it. And it's that way with any new curriculum you implement, I mean, we went through that with math, but
I feel like kindergarten to first is probably a good grade to like
yeah,
start something
Yeah,
new, and
slow roll.
they
Yeah.
missed this, and that's
Yeah.
probably okay.
yeah. In kindergarten then, these are the knowledge strands, these are super fun. Nursery rhymes was the first unit they did, and I loved being in the lunchroom and I could hear kids saying nursery rhymes. They were in the bus line saying nursery rhymes. Kids don't know nursery rhymes anymore. So this was so cool. They're doing 5 senses, but these are all the things that they'll touch on this year, and those are the 12. And again, those are probably about 15, 16 days a piece that they spend on those. Number 9 is Columbus and the Pilgrims. That's not taught around Columbus Day. People, you can't skip ahead and teach it. We asked, no, there's a process. Because when you go from nursery rhymes to the 5 senses, they're building on vocabulary, background knowledge that you built there, and then you go into that and it all kind of follows. So those are some fun things that we'll do. I don't have cute pictures for first grade, but these are the skills that they will cover. You can see they're adding a little bit more. More of the phonological awareness, phonics, word recognition. They get more into the conventions of English, and the writing will get a little bit heavier in first grade as well, and
Is
grammar.
that chronological there too as well, or?
That is not. Theirs is more interwoven.
Okay.
Yep, that's a good question. They don't start taking spelling tests for a while though.
Yeah, I
Quite
remember
a, it's
that.
quite a while. Their knowledge units are the ones that are listed up there as well. Some super cool fun things to do. One of the things that we have seen that other districts have done with this is at the end of every domain there is, or unit, they're called pausing points, and you can take 2 days and you can either do catch up. A lot of districts do really cool fun things, like celebrations, where like I one blog I'm following now, they just did, a school did the human body, and they set up one day where they had like the game operation, and they had kids dressed as surgeons, and they kind of had like a fun learning culminating activity. We're not there yet, our goal is to get there, but this is, the teachers are literally taking their manuals home every night and reading and practicing what they have to do because it's so different. So it's taken a lot of time. We're going to get there, maybe yet this year, if not next year, where we'll be more comfortable, but there's a lot of great social studies that is incorporated in science into CKLA as well, which we really like to bring that in as well.
And I heard good things this week, from our first grade teacher that like this went so well. Like the
Mhm.
human body thing was, like she was nervous and it was gonna
Yep.
be challenging,
Yep.
and they bought into all of it, and
Yep.
it went really well.
Yeah, it did. The kids love it, it's fun.
So are you seeing, like, a lot of these are social studies and science,
Mhm.
so then, because the time frame is the 120 minutes, then maybe less is being taught in science and social studies?
We're working through that, yeah, that's
I'm
been a-
just thinking,
that's been a challenge.
that's my administrator
Yeah,
thinking, going,
and I'm gonna be
okay.
honest, we're not probably getting, and I'm not time police, but we're not getting 60 minutes every day, and you know, if we can get 45 minutes in, that's fine. But yeah, it is, we're having those conversations because it is getting harder, to get science
Yeah,
and
well,
social
and those are,
studies.
and those are the social
You know, but
standards.
this, yes, but these stories and the skills that go with it, they're all kind of interwoven, so it's covering, no, that's a great question. Professional development, just, this is one thing that our administrative team is really committed to making this a priority to support our teachers. I don't feel like in Wonders that we maybe had enough of that, and I think that's why there was a lot of, questions and issues and things. You know, this company's been wonderful to work with. We had training, before school started. We had a full day. Melanie came, I forget what state she came from. She was wonderful. It's so nice when you get somebody to come from a company that you get somebody that's really honest and helps you figure things out. October 31st, we have a half a day in the afternoon. The K2 teachers will be working with a representative. It'll be virtual, but they've been able to choose Tyler sent something out, their priorities of what they're struggling with or what they need help with right now. So we'll cover that. Weekly team meetings I'm in, and they're longer this year because they are talking like, what are we gonna do next week? How are we gonna grade this? Because the grading is all different as well. We have some half-day early outs committed in the district this year for the K-2 teachers for reading. And I'm sure some of it'll be for the 3-5 teachers as well to kind of look ahead of what they're going to be doing. And then we've built in some grade level curriculum days where we had one at the end of September where kindergarten met for 3 hours in the morning with myself and Tyler. And then we flipped subs, and then the first grade teachers met in the afternoon. So they were full 3 hours of, you know, how are we doing this? What does it look like? What can we do different? So really committed to try to keeping that support going and supporting the teachers. Our next steps, we're going to continue to provide support as needed. We're going to provide time for teachers to collaborate, plan, and discuss. We are going to look into, Amplify has a platform called M-Class, and that has dibbles in it, and that is what they use for their benchmark and progress monitoring. We currently use FastBridge in the district, and so this is something that we've had discussions at our admin team meetings of looking, whether it's dibbles or not, looking at maybe something that would be more useful and beneficial to what we're doing in class. But this is built right into it, and it might be beneficial for us at the early ed grades to do this. So that's something we're looking at, and then we're gonna prepare 3 through 5 for implementation. Overall, I think it's going well. It is a big change. Teachers are stressed. Teachers are working so incredibly hard right now to make this successful in the classroom, and they're doing it. But it's a lot of work, and it's exciting to see the changes, and I think it's just gonna get easier as we go on and we get more familiar with how things go.
What curriculum company is Amplify from?
Amplify is its own entity.
Okay.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of getting rare. HMH has everybody, but
Yes.
yeah, really.
Okay.
So, do you have any other questions?
What do they do with some of the students that are a little more advanced, like in their reading or anything?
Great question. So we have WIN time built into our schedule, and WIN stands for what I need. So that is something Blackstone's had for, I don't know, at least 5 years maybe. And so our kids, during that WIN time, it's an hour for first grade and it's 40 minutes for first grade. So the kids that are super low, that's where we're putting them in groups, and we've got our intervention teacher, and we've got intervention pairs, and we put all of our resources with those kids. And then we have our higher kids. Well, of course, we have the average kids, but we also, that was one of the reasons we started WIN, because we were always putting everything we had into those lower kids or low average and trying to get them over the bubble kids we call. But a lot of times those higher kids weren't getting what they need, so they're getting enrichment activities as well.
I have a question, and maybe
Yep.
kind of piggyback on his question or thought. What about like the students coming into kindergarten from various different preschools who have already learned the handwriting or even how to write their name or some of that? Like do they have to just pretend they don't, or like how do they pretend they don't already know?
That's a great question too. It's so hard to break those habits once they have them. But they work hard on it. You know, they try to start, nope, you don't know how to make an M, this is how we make an M. You know, we start here, we do this, because kids come and they're writing from all different parts of the line and they're making it their own way, and it's tricky, it's hard, but we make every kid go through the process and how we want them to, but there are some very bad habits to break. And to nobody's fault, you know.
But what if they're like doing it correct? You know what I mean? Like what if they already know and they're doing it correct, and like I guess how does that flow into?
Do they still do like all the pre-writing stuff? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, maybe kind of like what he's saying, like maybe if they're a little advanced and they already know and they're like, you can see they're doing it correctly and they're ready to move on, or not go that slow pace to get to that point.
That's very
Because
cool.
some preschools, I feel like, might be doing it correct or teaching it correct and doing a good job, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's our first year.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not sure, but it's
Yeah.
something to watch,
Yeah.
keep an eye on, get feedback on.
So the preschools here, are they doing anything similar to?
No. The preschool's so different here that it's, through the grant, they have to do things a certain way, and they can't teach them, kind of slide it sometimes the correct way, because we have great pre-K teachers to know what's coming in kindergarten, but they're supposed to let them be free and explore and write, and that's all part of the grant. So it's not explicit instruction, how to write the letters, yeah.
You know, this is a great example, because for years, we heard about the curriculum. The teachers say, we don't like winters, we don't like what's going on, we don't like where we're at. And so we said, okay, then, but it just wasn't, you know, the concern or the complaint. Everybody who was saying, this needs to be better, those were the first people to hop in. And a change of curriculum like this is a ton of work. There were so many committee meetings last year. There was so much volumes of materials that those teachers had to pour through to figure out which one to go to. Having conversations with teachers at neighboring districts, doing all the legwork. Then once you've made the change, then it just starts, because then you've got to do all the implementation. You've got to relearn everything. You've got to figure out, no, we're not doing this here, we're doing it there. We're not doing this here, we're doing it there. And the pieces go together in a different way. And so it's a great example of, you know, how super proud we all are of what goes on here on a daily basis, because, you know, yes, it's a ton of work and it's different, but at the end of the day, the kids are going to learn better, and more kids are going to learn better, and everybody has just jumped in to get that done, and so couldn't be happier.
Yeah, a new reading series is a lot. Like math is pretty black and white, you know, math is math. But they're working incredibly hard. We're
Especially
excited.
with K1 too, because that's those beginning years.
You know, we're blessed with great teachers and good teamwork, and they all have each other to support each other as well, so that's nice.
Thank you, Stacy.
Sorry, Brad, it was over 5 minutes.
It's okay. Thank you, thank you.
All really good stuff.
Yes.
You're welcome.
All right, 6.3, we had no committees, consideration of board committees and reports. So if we can move to action items, 7.1, press policy 116. This is we had the initial last week, or last month, right, Brad?
Correct.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve press policies 116?
Yeah, again, nothing substantial, no significant policy changes, nothing new, just cleanup of laws that have been implemented. I think the most significant portion is there were a few changes in some of the Title IX procedures and process, and that's all reflected in these updates. And again, these updates are prepared by all the attorneys at the School Board Association.
I move to approve the press policy 116 changes to our.
I'll second.
Okay.
Roll call. Espinoza,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Cost,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Landers.
Yes. 7.2, the school improvement waiver. Brad sent the email. This is because of the change with the waiver for the full school improvement day from last Friday, right, Brad?
Yes, there was when we submitted our application, we were missing a few pieces, and then when we resubmitted it, they said that too much time had elapsed between board approval and the second submission, so they asked that the board So we said, yes, ISBE, we will do.
And which day was that for?
It was last Friday.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
Yeah, it was so good, it was so good.
More hoops to jump through. All right. Any other questions? All right. If I can get a motion to reapprove the waiver for the full school improvement day that was last Friday.
That already happened.
Yeah.
I will make a motion to approve the school improvement waiver. Second.
Rapp,
Yes.
Landers,
Yes.
Cost,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
All right. 8.1, or discussion items, 8.1, the delegate for the joint annual conference. Brad and I checked, this is Saturday, begins at 10:30.
I know I did it a couple of years ago. I don't know who did it last year, or if we even had,
I think Teresa.
yeah. It was actually, when I did it a couple of years ago, it was actually very opening eyes for me as an educator along with, as a board member, because I kind of thought about it in different situations. If anybody has an interest in doing it, if not, I would do it, because I'll be there, but, it's up to you if anybody else has an interest. It was actually very eye-opening. So, does anybody have any interest?
Sarah and I are already signed up for something, so.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
all right,
I'm
sounds
on
good. And Jenny, you're leaving, right, Saturday?
I'm not sure if I'm.
Okay. Garrett? Nope. Brenda?
Nope.
All right, well, I guess I
Yeah,
will.
I think somebody's nominating Holly.
Yeah, so, I guess I can be the delegate for the joint annual conference on Saturday so that Teresa doesn't have to. I guess we could make Teresa do it since she's not here, but,
That happens a lot at meetings.
yes, yeah, I get it, yeah.
Better
Do
show up.
we need to have a motion for that? Okay. All right, so 8.2, the levy and bonding. Teresa did ask that we delay this discussion, till next month so that she can participate in the conversation. Brett did send out this week the informational sheet, and in my observations, that was actually very eye-opening to me, because it really made me think about what we should do. So,
Good.
Does anybody have any objections on postponing this or delaying it until next month? Or we wanna go
But
without
I was
Teresa?
gonna say another additional thanks for reaching out and getting that, layout of information. That was very nice.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, Mark, I've known Mark for close to 20 years and super smart. He retired, and now he's a consultant at one of the investment groups that we use now, and so he doesn't have any skin in the game. And so it was, I thought it was really informative.
So that's what your future is after you retire from the district, being a consultant?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay.
Florida.
So, I'm guessing there's no objections, so we'll go ahead and, delay this discussion until next month. Brad did say, that we have time to do that. So, on a quick note, can I get a motion to adjourn until our next meeting, Monday, November 25th, 2024 at 6:30 here at the Education Center?
Make motion.
All right, second.
Whatever fun it is.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Williams? Spinoza? Schrader?
Yes.